The Michigan Court of Claims judge has denied the state of Michigan's motion to throw out of court lawsuits filed by the victims of that mid-Michigan flooding exactly 1 year ago. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Derek Francis.
I'm Janice Allen. The attorney representing about 300 victims of the flood says the state is already planning to appeal. Meantime, the people of mid-Michigan are continuing to rebuild following that historic flooding.
House and that house got moved off the foundation.
Part of his neighborhood gone. Carl Hammond's house is still gutted down to the studs, just a short walk from the Sanford Dam.
Imagine that you had a house today, and then tonight at 10 o'clock, that house is now 3 miles down the river, right? Yeah, you want your state government to step up and say, hey man, we should have done more.
We saved nothing.
His '84 Corvette also gone, along with his tools, his tax papers, even the walls not salvageable.
I had a pencil in my pocket and whatever I had on me. When I came back, I had to call my son. He was on the way here. I said, could you stop and get me a pair of shoes?
Water came up to the middle of his windows, and Carl says they saw it coming.
They knew that these dams were dangerous. They knew that the federal government had revoked their license away from the Boyd entities because they weren't spending the money and making these dams safe.
His attorney, Vin Johnson, agrees someone dropped more than just the ball.
The fact of the matter is these people are still digging out and they're trying to rebuild the best they can. But how much has the state or federal government really stepped up to help most folks? Zero.
This week marked the 1-year anniversary of the failure of 2 dams in mid-Michigan. Many of the people whose homes were damaged by waters weren't living in a flood zone.
You look at photos and it looks exactly like a war zone. And these folks have done a phenomenal job of trying to work together and volunteer and do their best to help each other. But I got folks living in trailers, I had folks in tents for a while. Luckily, neighbors are starting to help take neighbors to, in and so forth. But it's a tragedy, and it's not ending. It continues.
Yeah. Attorney Vin Johnson says it may take some time until a final ruling is made, and compares this case to the Flint water lawsuit, which took nearly 7 years to reach a verdict. We, of course, will keep you updated as this case progresses. Governor Whitmer, meanwhile, sought a federal major disaster declaration from former President Trump, which he approved, unlocking $5 million in aid from the federal government to help those victims clean up and rebuild. Only 8% of damaged homes had flood insurance. 150 homes were destroyed. Some 790 had major damage. Public property like schools and government buildings had more than $34 million worth of damage.